Hey, it is Wednesday, which, as all of you know, it's fast become my favorite day of the week because I get to have really great conversations with incredible people. And as per usual, today is no exception. So before I introduce my guest for today, I must thank our incredible founder, Shelley Lynn Hughes, for the amazing opportunity that she's given us for this Talk Wednesday platform. And of course, to a big thank you to our Talk Wednesday sponsor. See what happens when I don't have my glasses on and I try to put something up on the screen. I put the wrong thing on the screen. So here's the proper banner. Thank you to our incredible Talk Wednesday sponsor, Leanne Miles at the Clinton Wilkins Mortgage Team. Thank you, Leanne, for your incredible support. We truly appreciate it. Okay, guys, you're in for a treat today. My guest is Lisa Van Reeuwyk, and Lisa is coming to us from Coquitlam, BC. Is it sunny there, or is it a little gray like it can be in BC?
Yeah, we've been blessed with a nice stretch of sunshine. We do have a little smoke coming in from that fire on Vancouver Island, but yeah, it is a beautiful day here today.
Hey, thank goodness for small mercies. And anybody that spent any time on BC soil knows how much you reveled in the sun when you're able to get it. But Lisa, you are a ray of sunshine yourself. I can really feel a bright and sunny disposition coming through the screen. And you and I having a quick conversation, just getting acquainted before we hit record here. And I am already so fascinated to share with people what you do. So you told me that you love especially to work with creatives and highly sensitive people. Okay, share all the things, please, Lisa.
Oh, you're so sweet. Well, first, thank you, Steph, for having me on today, and to Shelley for inviting me to be on here and to talk. Yeah, um, I'm a business coach, a sales trainer, a public speaker, a workshop facilitator. But when I was a child, I would cry if kids said hi to me on the playground and go hide. I mean, it was a situation. And so I have walked through, I would say I've embraced my inner Eleanor Roosevelt of stretching those sticky edges of my comfort zone to do the things I need to do to have the life I want to live. And, the things really worth having are work. And, I tell people all the time, I'm not going to tell you it's going to be easy, but I can tell you it will be worth it. And so being highly sensitive myself, being an introvert, people are like, you're introverted. And I'm like, oh yeah, I love getting the stimulation and the people, and then also being creative. And so I find so many big-hearted people are out there doing really good work, but they aren't trained in how to run a business. They aren't trained in business, and they certainly aren't trained in sales. And there's a lot of adversity. I mean, if you look back at the history of people, you know, our creatives and our healers, well, they were cared for by the community. They didn't have to hustle and do Instagram lives and all these things in our very extrovert valued generator society that we live in. And so I love that work. It's really important. So you can be the best at what you do, but if you don't spark confidence in your prospects that you are the best, they're going to not only not hire you, but likely hire your competition. So when you can bring a harmony in with, I'm doing meaningful work that matters and changes people's lives, and it's my job to get out there and do the best I can to do this work, people can connect with that and feel with that. And so it's a very different approach to selling. It's about connection, it's about solving, and it's about being true to your own why. Nobody wants to be sold to. How do you feel, Steph, when somebody's trying to hard sell you?
I run the other way, 100%, 100%. It makes, yeah, it gives me the ick factor, and it just feels it feels wrong. That's why, like, I am such a relationships person. And, there was a point in my own life when I was, doing the quote unquote sales. And the only way I can sell to somebody is to build a relationship with them. And it's this whole thing of, I know that I have something that will be of value to them, but I know that because I built a relationship with them. And that's really where the cyclical um feel good, right? Because everybody wins as a result, instead of, only the salesperson winning. Because I think that's sort of that old school sales mentality.
Yeah, you're right. Everybody does win. And I love the line, facts tell, but stories sell. So if you're uncomfortable and you get a lot of, internal triggers and the cortisol levels are spiking when you think about selling, and that can even simply translate to going to a networking event and talking to people, right? Oh my gosh, that can be so much pressure. So if you're listening and you identify with any of these things, or even just those nerves, think about telling your stories. One of my favorite hacks I teach at this like elevator pitch workshop I run is when someone asks you what you do, instead of saying, I'm a business coach, because they just slap their lens and perception of that all over you. And it actually has nothing to do. But what if instead you said, oh, hey, let me tell you a story of someone I recently worked with so you can better understand what I do and how I do it and who I do it for. And then tell a very simple success story that follows: one, why they came to you; two, the specific work you did together; and three, the results that work had on their lives. And then the person you're talking to has so much more information than simply the label of what you do.
That that right there, to me, we could stop your interview right here and right now. 'Cause that that is huge, Lisa. And that's brilliant. It really is, because right away, too, for me, I've learned, or I've decided in the last couple years, that I even despise the question, so what do you do? Because so right, see, it did the same with you. Many years ago, I was working in my family's business, and for my own personal reasons, I had to step away. But people had learned to identify me as, the fish person, right? And so then it's like, so, what's happening in the fish world? And I go, well, I don't work there anymore. And then right away, it's like, well, what are you doing? And I remember my therapist at the time saying, well, why do you have to be doing anything? But that's sort of this world that we live in, right? So I don't I've tried to learn to ask different questions when I encounter people, and steer away
Yeah.
from the what do you do? But I love what you just shared, because I love stories. And as you said, that's going to give me so much more juice and so much more insight into that person and how they work their process. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I love that.
Oh,
I love
thanks,
that.
Steph. Well, it's great because yeah, we're all uncomfortable when we're meeting people, and I love that you brought that point up as well, because we are so much more than what we do. I often think of highly competitive athletes, or even up to the Olympic level. What happens the day after you win your gold if all you've ever defined your worth on is winning that gold medal when it's done? And so when we can make that, yeah, it's so important that we do our work and we excel at it, but there's so much more to us. And I'm also a certified life coach, and I loved, one of my clients recently said to me, they're like, Lisa, you're like the naturopath of business coaches. It's like, people come to you and they tell you everything and they cry. And I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of a sadist. I love it when people cry. I love it when people cry, because it means, okay, they're being honest and real and vulnerable and courageous, and we're getting to the base of it. We're getting to the root of what we want to do. And there's just so much more than, oh, this is the work I do. We just get to be who we are, and that is enough. And then, as you said earlier, like, you're such a curious person. We want to when we feel safe and supported, then we can be creative. Then we can be curious. Then we're able to ask the questions. When we don't feel safe, and that's another part of why I love to work with the introverts and the highly sensitive people. When I see them feeling safe enough and showing up in their power, I'm like, yeah, here you go. It's really important. It's really important.
Well, because too often, too, those quieter, more introverted people have been told that that's what they are and that's the box that they fit in. And sometimes they tend to play small and they tend to undervalue what they bring to the table. And so that's again the beauty of what you do and how you're able to help them stand in that power and the beauty of what they bring. Because if everybody's high energy and fast like the world would be so lopsided, and that's where
Yeah.
more and more of us need to celebrate our differences and not diminish and make something a negative. And so again, bravo to you realizing that you have this gift and this ability to foster that and bring that out in people. So how so I'm assuming you started out specifically and if my assumption's wrong, I apologize. But did you start out in this kind of life coaching aspect and then realize as you worked with more and more people, or what was the process to get you more to your niche that you found yourself in?
Yeah,
Here's a
it's a great
story.
question. Yeah, there is a story. I don't know how far back you want to go. I'll be concise, but I always say, we can only connect the dots in hindsight of where we ended up. But I worked in broadcast television. I loved my work. I was really fortunate. I worked at a boutique production company, and so not only was I running the company and I get to fly all over and have meetings with important people and all that stuff. But I was a senior producer. I flew all over Canada. We did outdoor documentary programming. I had my own travel show. I mean, it was a great gig stuff. But then the universe had other plans for me in 2008 in the financial crisis. We had bought a pre-sale the year before, and of course it closed, and we couldn't sell our apartment. So we're carrying two mortgages. Um, when my dad suddenly passed away. And 9 days after we lost my dad, I lost my job. I got a call from our head office in the States. They gave me 10 minutes to clear out my desk. I mean, it was just brutal. I mean, I was back to, if you define yourself by what you do, what is left when it's taken away from you? And so it was taken away from me at this moment where like there was just no steady ground for me. And so early the next year, I thought, oh, I have a great network. I did the meals and the wining and dining with our corporate video division. And so went downtown Vancouver in the West Coast Express, got myself a new outfit at H&M, and everyone hired me. They're like, you're freelancing? I want you business development, sales project, all these things. So I was like, oh, okay, I better start a company. So I basically just created a job for myself. And over the years, I was so fortunate to have really great clients, long-term relationships, but I wasn't stimulated by the work. And I'd had a few clients, solopreneurs, women, and I was like, I love this. This is so fun. And it just felt right in my soul. Like this work is important. Like I just fundamentally believe and see people don't have enough encouragement in their life. It's interesting. The beauty company Revlon, when asked what they sell, their answer is hope. Disney, when
Mhm,
asked what
mhm.
they sell, they say imagination. And somebody asked me, like, well, what do you sell? And I said, oh, if I think about it, I'm like, I sell confidence. I sell confidence. And so when people work with
Well,
me, they feel confident. Sorry.
no, I was
Yeah.
gonna just interject. I'm a huge fan of the story brand model, and the story brand. So much of that is what's your aspirational identity, right? What do you want
Yeah.
to achieve out of this? And right, it's not about the sale, right? It's about how you can transform people. Anyway, I apologize. Keep going. Keep
Yeah, no,
going. Confidence.
it's all,
Confidence.
it's all good. And so, yeah, my biggest client was getting acquired by the BC giant Jim Pattison. And I said, there's no role for me when this is done. This is my time. So I did some training. I rebranded. I came out with a new offering ladder targeted at the solopreneur micro business owner. And I didn't know my niche when I first started, but it became really clear because of me being a life coach, because of all my interests. There's literally nothing you can say to me that I'll think is strange. I'll be like, ooh, tell me more. Like, I'm just so interested in everything. And so I have learned probably more from my clients over the years than I have taught them. I work with dietitians and spiritual healers and a lot of creative agencies and zero waste delivery service and natural skincare and book, like just on and on it goes. Like these just really heart-centered people. And I just good people do good things with their money. And if I hear one more person say, oh, I'm not greedy, I just need enough, it's like, no, our world needs you, the good people, to make the money so you have affluence and you have influence so we can make systemic change. Now there's never been a better time to be a woman, to be in business. The digital, look at what we're doing, connecting here on this platform. Like there's just opportunity everywhere, but we don't have the confidence, we don't have the clarity, we don't know where to start. And so I'll compare it to a phone number. It's like, you can only make a connection at the end if you put the digits in the right number. But there's a lot of numbers there and people get confused. And a lot of people want to start with marketing. They're like, I need to get my marketing together. And yes, you do. But the marketing is like buried in the middle of the phone number. And I like to say, I know the phone number and I'm just going to give you one digit at a time. So at the end, we can make that connection. And so, yeah, I just, it feels like when I'm working, I'm like, it's like Elizabeth Gilbert tells the story about the shit sandwich. Do you know that story?
Yep. Yeah, but tell it. Tell it.
Okay.
Share it.
Yeah. So, okay. Well,
Share
hopefully
it.
I won't butcher the story, but she's like, it doesn't matter what you do. We are all eating a shit sandwich. There's sacrifice, there's long hours, it's not all rainbows and lollipops for any of us, but you're eating the right shit sandwich. Some people are like, how do I know that I'm on the right path? Well, you're on the right path when someone else who's doing just what you're doing throws their shit sandwich on the table and is like, oh, I can't take another bite. And you kind of look over at their sandwich and say, hey, are you done with that? Can I finish that for you? And that's kind of how I feel. I change what I do, my offerings and things change over time, but this is what I do and definitely gonna ask for some more other sandwiches.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful though, because that whole adage of, when you find what you love to do, you'll never work another day in your life, right? You have no problems toiling. You have no problems, um, supporting the people or doing what you need, to support your clients, or no matter how much time or effort it takes, because the reward is so much more. It's so much more, and it's so apparent. Once again, I loved that phone number analogy. That again, I'm very visual, and so that makes perfect sense to me. I was a skating coach for years, and I was very much a building blocks kind of coach, right? So you start with this skill, and then that skill leads to this, which eventually, becomes the crossover. But you don't just go out and do the crossover. So that approach to things is it's so key, right? But so many of us were so hungry just to get to the thing, right? That gotta slow the roll.
Gotta slow the roll. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and then people do the crossover stuff and then they can't ace it and then they beat themselves up. And it's just because they missed. Yeah. Yeah. I've yet to meet a very patient entrepreneur who's like, yeah, I'll wait. I'll wait for the success and growth.
When you find her, we'll interview her here. Okay, so I just popped up here that so you're a business coach, you're a workshop leader, you are also a best-selling author. So please tell us about that whole journey for you. I didn't get that far to know if you've authored multiple books, one book, regardless, the fact that you've written anything like that is such a huge accomplishment, and then to be a best-selling on top of that, kudos to you. So
Thank you, Steph. I'll just start with our oldest daughter is an avid reader. Some people play sports, she reads. She did a self-led reading challenge last year and read 207 books. Big books. And so for her to have my
wow.
book on her bookshelf feels extra, extra special. I have a blog. I love to write. I love ideas. And so it just kind of came together very synergistically during the pandemic to be part of this Spark Your Shift book of storytelling. And yeah, it was really fun and such an honor. And yeah, it's just so important that we tell our stories and put it out there and know that what you have to say is going to make an impact and change somebody's life. We all sometimes feel like, why me? Especially when we're starting out, like, oh, why would someone hire me? Or why would someone listen to my podcast? Or why would someone, but be because they need your story, and there's people out there that can resonate and learn from you. So, yeah, thank you for asking. I'd say it's my first. I'm always writing ideas down of what's the story I want to tell, and there's sort of this hybrid of pulling in the personal stories with the business lessons that I know and putting that together. So that'll be my next one.
Well, and the good thing is too is you will be a best-selling author as well, because you will be published in the next publication of Pursuit 365 as well. And if I know anything else about Shelley, she's going to make sure that it goes to the top once again. So that's just around the corner. Okay, so we're getting close to wrapping up here. And so just going back to what we were talking about earlier, conversation wise, and the whole, so what do you do question. So instead of what do you do, I've started to greet people more with, so what do you like to do for fun? So again, we've learned a lot about Lisa, the businesswoman, but what does Lisa, the wife, the mom, the friend, the amazing human, what lights you up? What do you do for fun, Lisa?
Well, that is a great question. Lately, I love to get up. This is so counter to the younger Lisa. I love to get up really early, and I meet up with a good friend of mine, and we go work out at the beach, and then we do a cold dip. And it's so fun. It's the good friend, moving the body, going in the cold water, feeling so good all day. The other thing we do for fun, I honestly, I love joyful body movement. I think if we can all identify whether it's dancing or what we traditionally think is exercise, it doesn't matter. But when we move our bodies, we trigger all this body chemistry that makes all the living so much easier. So we have more equipment in our garage than a lot of hotel gyms. I love getting my whole family outside. We set up these circuits in our driveway. We have a timer, all kinds of stuff, and like the kids and us, and we work out together every weekend. That's really fun. And I love being in nature. I love going outside. I think, I read a stat that we receive more information in one day than we did in an entire year just a couple hundred years ago. So our nervous systems are very taxed. And so going out in nature is medicine. And so yeah, that brings me a lot of peace and serenity. And then lastly, I do spa night with my daughters. I have two teenage girls, and we just like play music. We put face masks on. We put the charcoal mask on. We always do silly mustaches. And then we just have so much fun doing that together. So special time with special people for sure.
Well, oh, that's wonderful. And everybody has their different things, right? That sparks, and the key is knowing though what brings you joy. And that's, that's beautiful. And then the fact that you've got other people that you can surround yourself to share the joy with as well, and that ripple effect ensues. Okay, so we're before we wrap up, I don't know if you've watched any previous episodes or not, but I've been having fun with one question to wrap up with I think all but one or two. And I think you'll be a good candidate for this question. And the question goes like this. Okay, so we've learned a lot about you and who you are, and we know that you would give an incredible TED Talk. But if you were to give a TED Talk about nothing that you're known for, what would your TED Talk be about?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. The first thing that lumped in my heart that was kind of heavy was just following your intuition. I think as women, not even women, as kids, sit in the classroom and do as you're told, and stop listening to your body. And I think we're fundamentally separated at such a young age, and good intention there. Trying to corral kids is like herding cats. But yeah, I think I would talk about the importance of trusting ourselves and going back to that inner wisdom that lives within us. Maybe I'm known for that a little
Mm,
bit, but but I'd make it more of a personal journey. I think that's so important that we learn to trust ourselves more.
Good. Well, when that TED Talk's happening, you let me know. You reach out, okay? All right.
I
So I
will. That's
think
a
you
great
said that
question.
so I think you said that the name of your book was Spark Your Shift. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's it.
Spark Your Shift. All right. All right. So Spark Your Shift is Lisa's book. I'm definitely going to go look it up because, much like your daughter, I'm an avid reader and I can't consume enough. And I anything that gives me a little nugget of wonderful, positive things that make me think, and this definitely sounds like that. So I'm definitely going to search that out. And Lisa, any last things for that you would love to share? We've got your info here on the screen. Are you a Facebook or Instagram gal? Can people find you there? Where's your favorite place to hang out?
My favorite place is Instagram, and kind of like my email and website there. I'm at Bloom Lisa on there. And my final words are it's hard for everyone. Do it anyway. If you're feeling resistance, know that it's natural. The more we want something, the more resistance will show up, and everything you want is on the other side. So if it feels scary, but like cold and tight, and you're rearing away, that's a no. But if it feels scary and you feel like excited, you're physically leaning in, or you're warm, that's a yes. So that, yeah, trust that inner wisdom. It will never lead you astray.
I love the mic drops. That's a mic drop. Thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So many amazing tidbits here. Thank you to Shelley again for the opportunity for Lisa and I to meet, you know, for me to introduce Lisa to you guys, and of course to Leanne from the Clinton Wilkins Mortgage Team for her amazing sponsorship. Thank you. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been